Venus, if I fail in my business, I want to make a brighter. Studying for the night. Take two, blue. Hey y'all, it's your girl Ada Shakara and I'm back with another video. As you can tell from the title, today we'll be talking about a time that we failed a class. So if that's something that interests you or you can relate to, make sure you stay tuned. So to get right into the nitty gritty, I will first like to introduce my lovely guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Manny or Emmanuel. I'm an industrial engineer just like Ada. Been through many classes and many experiences together, so I'm pleased to be here in this video.
Yes. So thank you for joining me, Manny. I don't know. I've had some pretty rough experiences when it comes to failing a class or almost failing a class, barely passing, and trying to calculate your grade at the end of the semester. Like, if I get a B on this test, can I still pass? What about you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of close calls, and I had a lot of situations where I didn't even pass the class. So, by God's grace, we're here. You know, I've graduated. We both graduated. We both have our jobs, or we're also trying to shoot for higher things and do bigger things in the industry and even out of the industry. But you know, there's been situations where, you know, I either fail the class completely, or they always say C's get degrees, and it's true to some certain extent. But of course, we all want to push for excellence in every single thing that we do.
Right. And that's definitely true. So I know for me, high school 4.0 valedictorian, I'm like, I'm coming in there. Da, 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 da. I don't think I necessarily expected to still be a 4.0 student in college, because I'm like, I'm doing engineering, so Let me just pass. I'll do my best, but let me just pass. So for the most part, I did pretty okay. I think that there were some times where I kind of, life got the best of me. So, sometimes you miss a class, sometimes you study as much as you can, and it's still not connecting, it's still not making sense. So I'll start with my time. My time was really like a tragedy, the time I failed the class. So basically what happened is, I say it's a tragedy because of this. I was doing well in the class. I was passing. I was getting A's on tests. I was doing well. And the teacher, he made the test easy. The homework reflected the test. So I'm like, I'm good. So this particular class, I'll just say what the class was.
Yeah,
the class was. Yeah, I was like, I was trying to be secretive. I just forgot to name the class. The class is Calc 1, which, if you're shocked, I understand. Because Calc 1 isn't that hard of a class compared to other calculus classes. And I know that. That's why I was doing well in the class. So the reason why I failed the class was because the final exam was written by the department instead of the teacher. So, I didn't go as crazy as studying for the calculus final exam as I did like the chemistry final exam, because chemistry at our school is ridiculous. Like Gen Chem, it's ridiculous. So I was going hard on Gen Chem. I was going hard in like the engineering course that freshmen have to take and all this other stuff, because I'm like, these are the priorities. I'm already doing well in, calc. So I'm just going to, do what I can. And, I'll study that at the end, because I'm like, I'm already doing okay. So I get to the lecture hall where we're taking the test, right? And I'm looking at the exam. I'm like, this is not what we did in class. Yeah. But that's because all the different teachers wrote this exam instead of just my teacher. And that just didn't really click for me.
And you would think that this stuff should be standardized to a certain extent. You would think that Calc 1 should be Calc 1. But it's really crazy that some teachers can teach it in one certain way, or another teacher can teach it in another certain way. I remember my brother, he's a computer science major. He's having issues in one of his classes right now because the professor's like, oh, you use code that was in this assignment. You weren't supposed to use that code. But
I got the answer.
Number one, I got the answer. Number two, this is the code that you gave us to use for our assignments. So how am I wrong if I use that code?
Right.
You know, teachers can just make life difficult.
Crazy.
You know.
And I honestly don't understand because none of the other calc classes are like that. Like, it's only the first calc class where they make the final written by the department. And so that screwed me over. And I bombed the final. But even with me bombing the final, since I did well with the class, I was still able to pass. Like, I still had a passing grade, like maybe like a B or a C or like a high C after the final. But they're like, if you bomb the final, then you fail the class.
Yeah.
So even though I had like an A in the class, when I bombed the final, I failed the class.
Yeah.
That was the most painful thing. And the teacher liked me. He was like, oh, you know, I'm trying to find ways to help you get past or like give you more points, but they're like, I can't. I'm just like, you can't help me out. Like, you know, I like aced your class. And he's just like, I'm sorry. And I'm just like,
yeah, some teachers can be cool, and sometimes the departments just take over and they just do a ridiculousness, which is unfortunate. Like, and some of these policies that they make, I'm just thinking, what is the basis behind these policies? Like, what's the basis behind saying that if someone fails a final, that they fail the class?
Right.
Like, in my case, there's many reasons why I failed classes. Like, many reasons. And one of them,
what was one of your stories?
Well, just to like harken to what you were just talking about when it comes to like one specific, like the final exam one. I had a situation where that was the reason why I failed a class as well, because of a final exam that I failed, which the class itself I already had like a B in as well, but I failed the class because I failed the final exam. But at the end of the day, see, I like to say that I'm a little bit of a hustler because I just did what I needed to do to just, keep going. So this is a little bit in conjunction with another class that I had, and this is what led me to being where I needed to be able to continue in college, because at some point they almost kicked me out of the College of Engineering. They almost kicked me out of the College of Engineering because I had retaken too many classes. And I was having conversations with my professors. One of my professors was actually a chemistry professor, and she sat me down to see why I was doing so badly in her classes. And the reason why she even bothered having this conversation with me, because professors, they just grade your stuff and let you go. If you don't talk to them, you don't talk to them. But me and her had a good relationship because I was in her office hours every single class. I will go to her office hours right after class. We'll work on the homework together. I would do well on the homework. She was like, "Yeah, you understand this stuff." Then I'll take the exam and I'll bomb it and I'll fail it. So we were both confused as to why
the exams be different. I'm sorry, the exams be different. I'm not gonna lie. But.
So what she had me do actually, and if this helps for you, then maybe you should also try it as well. She had me go and talk to our school counseling to see why I was having these problems with my classes. And after doing many sessions of counseling, we figured out that I actually had test anxiety. Like I go into like crippling anxiety when I'm in that testing situation. Mm-hmm. Like when you see people going up to the class and submitting assignments and submitting like their test, and you're still here on question 10 out of 50. You start
and
panicking.
And part A, part B, part C. Like
man, and I had that problem in so many of my classes. So what they actually did is they put me in student disabilities. So I could actually have more time to take my exams. So they gave me a time and a half. So if it was a 1 hour exam, I would get an hour and 30 minutes. And then they also gave me a private room where, there was still like cameras in the room, so there's no cheating or anything like that, but like it was fenced off from people walking in and out of the room and causing a disturbance, because that's the environment that I needed to be able to calm myself down to take the exams well. So after that moment, I didn't have any problems anymore. But I did have that situation as well with like the days I had where, I was doing okay in the class, but that final really just destroyed me.
Make or break.
And then to go forward into my exploration into engineering, when I actually got into the College of when I got into industrial engineering.
Where'd you come from?
From mechanical. The mechanical department in our school wasn't that supportive. It's very competitive, and everybody's kind of on their own. They don't want you, if you're not smart enough, they don't really want you to even, be there.
Mm-hmm.
But the industrial department, they offered support.
Mm-hmm.
When mechanical was threatening to push me out, they said, we'll take you in, but
Right.
you got to be on your stuff.
Right.
And that's what I promised them. I promised them that I was going to be on my stuff. I was going to be just the same way I was with that chemistry class, being in every single office hour, being in every single study session, learning as much as I can. You got to be in those study sessions. You got to
Right.
do those, study guides and talk to the TAs. That's how you're going to succeed if you're having these issues.
Right.
And there's no problem with asking for help. Trust me. There is no problem. Just ask for help, and it will be given. Closed mouths
Don't get fed.
So, so that's my experience. I mean, it's
Right.
an inkling of my experience. There's a lot. I don't even know how I can fit it in this video.
So I would say, of course, you have to take accountability for
Absolutely.
when maybe you weren't studying enough, or maybe you were slacking. We all had those experiences. We're not gonna sit up here and try to act like that wasn't the case. But sometimes it be your environment, and it be those professors. So are there any experiences where you feel like this professor was just really playing, or maybe not out to get you, but the way they taught, or the way they, you know what I'm saying?
There's been situations where professors have been out to get me, or it's felt. Let me not put a blanket on anybody and say that, oh, they're evil or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just feels like they're out to get you, There's been classes that's been the case and I've passed, and there's been classes where that's been the case and it didn't turn out right. And I took the class again with someone else, and I did, all of a sudden, miraculously, I passed. I mean, maybe it helped that I, already knew the content of the class, but it was just easier in general because the teacher was a better teacher.
Mm-hmm.
There's one teacher that we had when I was in mechanical that was he was the dynamics teacher, and you couldn't understand what he was saying. He talked in a low voice, and he would just be like, "So this is okay," and everybody would just be like, "Yeah." And if it wasn't okay, he would then get upset and be like, "Why aren't you getting this?
Yeah.
Why don't you understand? What's wrong with you guys?" So when we figured that out in the first few weeks, everybody just started nodding their heads and saying, okay. And then we'll all take the exam, and 90% of the class would fail. And then he'll start berating us again. Oh, what is wrong? Why don't you guys understand? This, that. Some professors are just like that. So you have to take advantage of all the resources you had. There's many classes where I taught myself.
Literally. That and YouTube, forget about it.
But you got to be careful. Make sure you know each class, because some professors want you to do it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's allowed for you to use outside resources to learn, not to cheat, not to bypass what the professor's trying to do, but if there's outside resources that will allow you to learn the contents that they want you to learn, take every advantage of it.
Definitely.
Khan Academy, my best friend. That's how I got through Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, differential equations.
Yeah.
That's how I got. And I was never. I'm just telling you guys a little bit more of my backstory. I wasn't a 4.0 student like a daisy here in high school.
In high school.
In high school, I was not a 4.0 student. In high school, they told me that, you know what, we don't think engineering is for you. Maybe you should do some art instead. Maybe you should do something more creative. And I was creative. I was a very good, I wanted to be a car designer. So I had portfolios, and I love to design. And I actually got into CCS in Detroit.
Okay, I can see it.
But I wanted to be an engineer at the same time. And they told me that math and sciences, not for you. And then I got to school, I got to college, and then I was getting my butt beat by my math and sciences. That's where all my repeats and my failed classes came from, was maths and sciences, like chemistry, biology, Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3.
Differential equations?
Differential. I didn't retake differential equations.
That one wasn't too bad, but it's a long road to get to differential equations. That's when the sun starts to open up, because that's the last calc class you really have to take.
The light at the end of the tunnel.
But getting there, 2 and 3 is gonna be a little.
And then I was also frustrated because I saw other classes below us coming in, like the younger generation. And then I found out that they didn't have to take chemistry. They didn't have to take biology to get their engineering degrees.
See, I still had to take chemistry and biology. I came in with the old requirements, and then it wouldn't have made sense for me to switch. I would have lost credits. So it kind of depends, but I still found ways to make it easier for myself. Like bio, that's a class that we can kind of test out of if you study. So... me and my friends found a way to test out of it, so I didn't take bio, but you took bio?
Yep. I took bio. Did I have to take organic? No. I didn't have to take, but I took bio and intro to chem. Those classes really put me through it.
Chem, I barely made it through, but I made it through.
And I was just thinking to myself, I don't need this class. Why am I in this class?
Yeah.
And when it actually comes to my bio, there was 2 bio classes that I had to take. It wasn't just one. I remember it was 2 bio classes. It was 2 bio classes I had to take.
10, 50, and 15, 10?
I can't remember. But the second bio class, I had to go plead with the professor to let me pass.
No way. It'd be like that sometimes.
I went to go plead with him, sir, you know me. You know I've been in your office hours. You know I've been trying to learn, blah, blah, blah. And if you take a look at my other classes, if you take a look at my engineering classes, you can see how well I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't know that they have access to everything. They have access to all your records. So my professor was like, I'm looking at all your other classes. You're doing well in your other classes. Why do you have a D minus? Or no, why do you have a D plus in my class? And all I needed was a C minus to pass. So just all I need was a little nudge, give me that C minus so I can get out of here. And trust me, I told him trust me, you will never see me ever again. Just let me go. And it was an hour meeting, and I was sitting there just with my head down.
Hey, not the guilt trip.
Just demoralized. And he was at the end of the meeting, he was just you know what? I don't want to ever see you in any medical schools. I was like, bro. I'm an engineer. You see my engineering grades. You see my engineering classes. You see I'm doing good. I just need to get out of bio. And then
what's ironic is that you did end up working in a hospital system, but on the engineering side.
But I didn't go to medical school. I didn't become a doctor or anything, and I didn't need to. I didn't need bio. Truthfully,
yeah, honestly, you don't.
So he told me, I don't want to see you there. And I said, sir, trust me, you will not see me anywhere near a medical school trying to get a doctorate, But thank God he let me through, and
and here we are.
But that was a funny story.
Definitely. So I know you gave some tips about going to office hours and study groups. So what are some things that, some other things that you could suggest to people who are, just basically scraping by the class, trying to pass, almost there, and just study tips for them? Because I know finals should be coming up soon, right?
General study tips. Just learn your style of, find what your style of learning is. If you're a visual person, you need to write things down. You need to draw things out. Do that. If you're someone that needs to hear it over and over and over again, do that. We're here to give you advice on how to get past these things and how we got past them, but there is no shortcuts. You still have to put in the work. One of the biggest things that helped me was just generally just motivating myself. Many times in this same building that we're in right here, we will be in the library until 3 a.m. in the morning. I remember my parents would call me at 6 a.m. in the morning sometimes, and they'd be like, oh, I'm just waking up. They're like, where are you right now? We're at your house. I'd be like, I'm in the library. Literally, that was the truth. I was in the library. I would fall asleep in the library because that's what I needed to do to pass. I would have to motivate myself. One of my favorite things to do is to look up the cars that I want to have in the future. there would be many times I'll be demotivated and I'll be like, you know what, maybe I should just go home and sleep. And then you're like, okay, let me just go online, take a break. Take a 10-minute break, go online, go on YouTube, look at what interests you and what motivates you to, like, you know, make that money, to pass, to get that job, to get that degree, you know. And one of the things that motivated me was, you know, having nice cars, having a nice car in the future. So I would go to mbusa.com, go to Mercedes-Benz's website, go to, you know, Audi USA, you know, see the cars that I want, build them out. You're like, you know what, I'm going to keep going. And that gave me the motivation to do what I need to do to pass, you know, to keep going, to keep studying. And sometimes you just need that break.
Yeah, definitely.
Take that mental break. Forget about learning for a second and then come back to it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So that's just a little tip. It might not work for everybody, but find your way of, you know, motivating yourself and learning.
Yeah, that's good. And then I definitely think knowing your learning style, like Manny was saying, we would be in the library all the time studying or not studying. But towards the beginning, you know, when our friend group really band together, you know, we'd be in the library fooling. Like, we'd book out a big room. We'd all be in there dancing, singing, talking, laughing, playing videos, doing everything but studying. So it's just like, for like maybe like a semester or two, we were just in there fooling. And then eventually, like, the next year, we're like, all right. And that kind of, you know, we broke into smaller groups because we're like, we cannot study together, y'all. We have too much fun. I love y'all. But I'll see you outside of the library because we just can't do it. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun times. But that's an instance where you have to know, like, we can't study as a group, or you can't study with this particular group of friends. Or I like to study completely by myself. I like to use color-coded pens. Whatever the case is, whatever helps you, you have to learn that pretty quickly so that you can just take that and then go full-fledged with it.
Definitely. I mean, I agree completely with what you're saying about how we started and then split off. But at the same time, for me, it was a little different because I was just like, when it's time to study, when it's time for that exam, it doesn't matter who's around me yelling and doing this and doing that. I need to do what I needed to do, and I'll just do it. You know. But
I'm saying, though, we couldn't do it in the same room together. It would be like 10 of us.
Split out, you know.
You can't. There's no way you're gonna actually be studying. Just go to your little 2-person room instead of the 15-person room. Yeah. Stay in your dorm or go to like a quiet office where you know, like, you can actually get stuff done. You're not going to be gisting and doing everything, doing as on tour, doing fitness. If I broke down my business. Like, I can literally insert videos of us completely fooling. Man. Let me tell you, we have some, but send me them. And you'll see, we used to be acting a plum fool, but that's just an instance where it's like.
It also created a little bit of camaraderie between us as well.
Right. We definitely stayed close throughout. You know, we definitely had a great friend group, but we just linked outside of the study time because it just wasn't happening. Yeah. Or, for instance, we would, like, that break you were talking about, our break would be walking to the other side of the library to go say hey to somebody that we knew was studying, but we just can't study together. So I'm studying on the 3rd floor, you're studying on the 2nd floor. I'm going to come say hey for my 15-minute break. Yeah. And I'm going to go back to my study room when I'm done because we can't study together. But I need a break.
And that's something I'm really proud of us for doing because we really were able to bunker down when we needed to.
Right.
When we needed to get serious, we decided to get serious. And everybody, you know, got their work done, you know. So create that discipline, you know. There's no problem with you having fun and, you know, gisting with your friends and do whatever you need to do. But when it's time to buckle down, you gotta do it. You gotta put your head down. You gotta face your fronts. You know, you gotta face what you're doing.
Definitely.
And just power through it. You really just have to power through it. And if you can't do it by yourself, every university has resources. I remember there was many times I had to, you know, get the tutoring that they provided for us at the university, you know, and talk to your professors. You know, those office hours are key. Yeah. TA sessions are key. What I'm telling you, there's some classes that the TA even just gave us the answer.
Literally.
Like.
And then he would be like, I think we know who you're talking about, but he would be like, I'm not saying this is the answer, but you need to know this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so you can take that and then go study that exact method. You
right.
know, there was one of the classes that he was the TA, and like he gave us, when we got the exam, it wasn't the exact same question. It changed variables, but pretty much what I did was I just learned all the steps of how to do that question the way that he explained it in the office hours, and I just plugged and played.
He was also tricky though, because sometimes he'd put like a word that would like make the sentence not true, or he'd like put the answer in your face. He'd be like, what type of normal distribution is this? The answers would be like 1, 2, 3 normal, and then something else. But
the answer is right there.
You're like, it can't be normal because it says normal. So you'll put something else, and he's like, I literally put the answer right there. And we're like, we didn't think that. So
I remember the exact question.
He said he would be laughing at us when we would put the wrong answer, and he put the answer there. But you just have to try to be as shrewd as you can, and you just know what type of professor your professor is. Know if they reuse exams, because if so, like, you're making it easy for me. So I'm going to go find your exam, and I'm going to study from that. And then I'm going to rock it on the exam. So just knowing your professor, your study style, and how to get what you need to pass.
Gotta finesse the system.
Finesse, get. If I fail, not my business. I was at a brighter. Studying for the night. But yeah. We had some good times. I low-key miss undergrad, and when I say undergrad, I really mean the fun, the social aspect, and just the experience. You know, not so much the classes, even though I do like learning. I like taking classes, but I'm just remembering the stress associated with it. So I'm just like, I miss the friends and the funs, the activities, the events. So yeah, any final words for you before we?
I think I've given all my advice. Just the biggest one is to just motivate yourself.
Right.
Find that thing that's gonna make you push yourself. Some people just like money. If it's money, sometimes it might even just be taking care of your family. Like, you know, sometimes I would just think back to my sister and like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm good so I can take care of my sister. I can take care of my mom, you know, and it will literally just put me right back to where I want to be and like where I need to be to study and to have the right mind frame. So find that thing and just keep pushing, and you'll get there.
That's good. I think that's all I got. So before we sign out, let's 1, 2, 3, let's go. My name is Ada Shakara. All day long, yes, ha Shakara. Allah J Shakara. Allah J.